One of the things that I love about Apex is that they aren't content just making the same old product day in and day out. They are always looking to improve and innovate. That's why we're here today. This is the new Type 3 trigger for the Hellcat Pro. Now you guys know that I've been rocking this Apex trigger on the Hellcat Pro since it launched. This one is being branded as the classic version. I love it. It's a serious improvement over the stock trigger. Then came the Type 3. Now you guys know, as soon as I found out about it, I knew I had to get one in hand, take for a little test drive, and let you guys know what I think. Okay, sorry to interrupt, but I'm sitting here editing this video and I just got an email from Apex. They wanted me to let you guys know that my viewers can get 10% off their orders by using discount code 360TS. Use that link down in the description when you check out. Make sure to use that discount code. This is actually a really easy video to make. The Type 3 trigger is mostly a change of aesthetics. Both the classic trigger and the Type 3, they come with the same stuff in the packaging. You get a new trigger shoe, sear spring, and striker spring. Using the Apex trigger and springs, you can expect somewhere in the neighborhood of a 5 to 5.5 pound trigger. Your take-up and reset will both slightly be reduced. Factory safety values will be maintained, and of course, the whole shooting experience will be just as crisp and smooth as you would expect from any Apex product. While comparing the classic Apex trigger that is on my ported Hellcat Pro to the new Type 3 that's on my comped version, I found those numbers that Apex has listed to be pretty accurate. So this gun that was ported by Floyd's Customs, it has the classic trigger in it. This gun is well past the point of being broken in. I got a new trigger gauge the other day and this gun measures right at 5 pounds. When I tested my comped gun that has the Type 3 trigger in it, what the trigger gauge said was 4 pounds 11 ounces, which I thought was a little bit weird. This gun doesn't have anywhere near the round count that my other Hellcat Pro has. Then I remembered I have the M Carbo titanium striker kit in here. So I took the slide from my ported gun, which has the stock striker with the Apex striker spring, and I moved that over to the gun that has the Type 3 trigger in it. I ran another set of tests. 5 pounds, 9 ounces. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, this gun I've ran quite a bit, but nowhere near as much as my ported gun. That's why the trigger weight in this gun is 9 ounces heavier than the other one. Of course, as I break it in more and more, the more rounds that I put through it, it will smooth out quite a bit and it should get back down into that 5 pound range over time. Just as a little side observation, there's almost a full pound difference between the M Carbo striker assembly and the stock striker assembly that has the Apex spring on it. I would love to see Apex do a package where you get multiple springs, something where you can get a slightly lighter trigger for those of us who like that kind of thing. At 4 pounds 11 ounces, this is a pretty good feeling trigger for my particular taste. So the classic and the Type 3, performance-wise, they're the same trigger. The big difference is going to be shape. Overall, they are the same shape. With the Type 3 though, the sides of the trigger have what Apex is calling a decorative cut on them. The other difference is the Type 3 trigger, the corners on the front side are chamfered instead of radiused. What does that even mean? Well, let's take a slightly closer look. Instead of being a more rounded edge like the classic, the Type 3 has a kind of sharper cut off edge. I don't even know how to describe that. It's fairly comfortable on the finger though. I actually really like it. Visually, I gotta be honest here, the Type 3 is a much better looking trigger than the classic. The classic just reminds me too much of that chunky Apex trigger for the Glock. This classic, even though I don't prefer the look of it, it's comfortable and it's an improvement over the stock trigger. This Type 3, it's more modern looking, updated, upgraded. The big thing that I notice is that I like the feel of those trigger edges more than I do the classic version. Now, of course, I've had people chime in talking about how changing your trigger doesn't really matter. How if you ever use your gun in a self-defense situation, you won't care what trigger's in it. You know the comments, I've had a ton of them. Here's the thing though, comfort matters, especially if you're training with your weapon regularly, like you should be. Now that could be dry fire practice, that could be live fire practice. Either way, the more you train, the more you come to appreciate a trigger that is comfortable on your finger. Edges that are smooth and contoured in a way where You can go to the range regularly, shoot a couple hundred rounds, and not get any discomfort, blistering, or perhaps raw spots. A lot of people experience that, and it tends to make them not want to go to the range as often as they should. Not only does a comfortable trigger make you want to shoot more, it can also make you more accurate because, as we all know, the way that we pull our trigger directly affects our accuracy. When I feel these two triggers side by side, dry fire, live fire, I prefer the feeling of this new Type 3. I could easily take it to the range and burn through 500 rounds without getting so much as a hot spot on my finger. If you already own this guy, the classic trigger for the Hellcat Pro, that's a great trigger, and swapping over to the new Type 3, it's only going to be a slight change for you. On the other hand, if you own a Hellcat Pro and it's got the stock trigger in it, and you're considering moving into an Apex, my recommendation would be to go with the Type 3. The Type 3 trigger, it's a better looking trigger, and it's slightly more comfortable than what the Classic is. This, of course, is going to boil down to personal preference, but that's my assessment of the situation between the two models. My personal preference is the Type 3. I hope this breakdown helps you guys decide on a new trigger for your Hellcat Pro. Whether it is the Classic or the Type 3, you seriously cannot go wrong with a trigger from Apex. That's going to be it for today, guys. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you back here real soon.